Hey, and welcome back to Transvox. And with me today is Michaela Pashley. Now, I've been watching Michaela's progress in a certain number of WhatsApp groups and on LinkedIn and such like for ages. And you put a LinkedIn post around pink investments or something. That might not be the right word. I'm sure we're going to get to it. But first of all, hey, Michaela, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. I'm really good. And thanks for raising that. It's a topic that's deeply close to my heart.
Brilliant. Why don't you just give us a bit of a thumbnail sketch of yourself? Who are you?
Okay, so my name's Michaela Pashley. I am a financial advisor and kind of an entrepreneur. So I've been in finance my entire career. I've done business development for numerous financial services companies, investments, pensions. And in 2019, I became head of training at a company called Simply Biz. And from 2020, I've been self-employed and I started a training company and we actually launched our own financial planning qualification because we realized that there wasn't enough emphasis in the financial qualifications about soft skills, about working with people and dealing with clients. So we launched our own soft skills qualification and got that checked by the Scottish Qualifications Authority, and it was then accepted by the big mainstream
Wow.
financial planning exam boards as prior learning recognition.
That is astonishing. That is not an easy feat to have done that. As I know a tiny
No,
bit about FPC rules and such like, and blimey, that is quite something.
yeah, it certainly wasn't easy. But then in 2020, in 2022, 2023, I had the idea that there's a long story behind this, but I set up my own financial planning company called Roseum Financial Planning. And Roseum was not named because it was pink. It was named because I had the idea for these investment portfolios called the pink portfolios. And the pink portfolios, the idea behind that was to invest money in pensions or ISAs or whatever, but do so in a way that where we weren't patronizing anti-LGBT economies or companies. And so the idea initially, when this started back in 2023, was we would invest in places like the UK, Western Europe, South America,
Mm.
uh, Japan with a big caveat, and the US. And since certainly in the last 6 months, things have been very, very different.
Yeah.
Things are a lot more complicated, particularly in places like the US. And we're able now to bring this alive for people who don't want to invest in countries or companies that
Mm.
are contrary to their values.
Right. Okay. You give me loads to go out there. So we better unpick some of that if that's all right. For some people, there'll be some people who know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, so financial planning 101 is a financial advisor is not going to tell you, usually a financial advisor is not going to tell you, not in the UK, to invest in this many Tesco shares and this many Tesla shares and this many Sainsbury shares and this many RBS shares. That's not how we work. Financial planning is different to investment management. So where investment is a solution for clients, we will usually build you a portfolio of different funds. And a fund is where, rather than buying a share directly into Tesco or Sainsbury's or whatever, the idea is that you buy a share in a fund. So you give your money to that fund, you buy a share in the fund, and then the fund
Oh,
pools your money with the money of all the other investors in the fund.
yeah.
And then they invest that money into those underlying securities, those underlying stocks and shares.
Yes.
And the reason that we do that is because you can have a very, very diversified portfolio for a lower cost and with far more diversification than you could have if you invested yourself
Yes.
directly into these different companies. So when I built the pink portfolios originally, they were built using funds which simply track the stock markets of these different economies that had LGBT friendly laws and also a relatively good score for public opinion. And the tool that we used for that was called the LGBT Equality Index.
Okay. And that existed before your idea, or you were tapping into that, or
Oh
was
no,
that
no, no.
something you're creating
That's
it?
been there for ages. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
The
cool. That
equality
makes
index
sense.
has been there for a while.
Yeah.
And what we're now able to do with places like the United States is that there is data that exists which allows us to determine how much companies are funding different politicians, and specifically whether those politicians are voting to support LGBT rights. So, for example, we might look at an American company and we might see, oh, right, so that looks like a potentially good investment opportunity. Let's have a look at which politicians they're funding. And then we might see that they're funding mostly Democrats, mostly Republicans, and then we can see how those Democrats and Republicans vote
Yeah.
on LGBT bills.
Yeah.
And it's data such as that we can use if someone wanted to. We could just invest in the whole of the US, or we could exclude the whole of the US, depending on what a client wants to do. But what we can also do is we can speak to our investment management people at Quilter Cheviot, and they can say, let's invest in this many shares in this company or that many shares in that company, because they're an investment manager.
Right.
And we can work in partnership with them to make sure that if we've got US exposure, that we're filtering out companies that are contrary to our values.
I see. So lots of people use financial planning consultants to do savings and pensions. Is that part of your bag as well?
Yes, absolutely. So
Okay.
my whole thing is pensions and retirement planning, and I do things like school fees planning and things like that for clients, but it's mostly pensions and retirement planning. So someone will come to me, they'll usually be in their 40s or 50s, and they'll say, I want to retire at 60 or 65 or whatever. What have I got just now?
Mm.
How much do I need to save to meet my goals? Because I want to retire on 30 grand a year or whatever. And I'll put together a bespoke plan for them, along with a cash flow projection,
Sure.
to be able to assess how far are they off their goal.
Yeah.
What else do they need to save between now and retirement? And what kind of investments should they be in that's going to meet their risk profile and also their objective?
Yeah. That makes sense. So effectively, you're no different to any other financial planning consultant, the fact, but you're in our community and you've got this fantastic idea around the pink funds and such. So that's brilliant. So this is an obvious question, and I suspect I know the answer to this, but how early should we start saving for pensions and retirement funds? Because I hear a move that some of the younger people in 20s and 30s have stopped doing that because they can't afford to buy properties. There's almost like a move away for pension planning. It sounds a bit dangerous to me.
Yeah, so it's in your interest to start as early as possible, because the longer you have in the market, the longer you have for those returns. And investment really does help your money go further.
Mm.
I mean, all you need to do is look up what the equity returns have been for the last 50 years. Equities have consistently outpaced inflation. So even if you're not investing 100% into equities, which most people don't, most people have bonds, most people have a bit of property or some cash to take the sting out of the tail of the equities.
Yeah.
But certainly if you're young, yeah, I mean, some kind of equity-based investment with a financial planner helping you out to make those decisions about how much risk you should take,
Mm.
I think is a really, really good thing. And the government knows that people need to save for their pensions. Used to be in
Mm.
the olden days, you had your company, which would put you into something called a defined benefit pension or final salary pension.
Mm.
You work for a big company, and then when you retired, they pay you an income for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore. It's too expensive. What has now happened is that company pensions, they're what we call money purchase or defined contribution pensions. And those pensions are where you'll put in a little bit of money every month, your employer puts in a little bit of money every month, and then you're at the mercy of the investment market. So having a financial planner review what those investments are, because in a pension scheme, there's usually going to be multiple investment options available to you. Some of
Mm.
those might allow us to do some ethical based investment planning.
Makes sense. So what about this idea that of saving for operations? Because actually a lot of us might get to the point of saying, well, I need to save for an operation and I can't put that money into a pension. And I mean, that's just a value judgment, isn't it? How do you help people through that dilemma?
Okay, so it depends when they want the operation. This is the question. If you're going to invest into asset backed securities like equities, Really, you need a minimum 5 years.
Right.
And that's just the way it is. That there are some investment vehicles out there that are aimed at shorter time periods, but usually, equity-based investment is a 5-year minimum. When people are saving for operations, they usually want the operation relatively quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And similarly, when people are saving for houses, they usually want the money, within 5 years
Yeah.
to buy the house. Now, for houses, there's a product that exists called the Lifetime ISA or LISA. So you can put in £4,000 a year, and then the government will top that up by £1,000.
Okay.
But you need to use it to buy a house or to retire.
Yeah.
Read the terms and conditions on those folks, those lifetime ISAs, or speak to a financial planner. There's no such vehicle that exists for healthcare,
Okay.
at least not that I'm aware of.
Just go fund me.
Um, Pretty much.
Yeah.
So if you are saving for an operation, you can use cash-based products like cash ISAs. At the moment, with interest rates being higher than they have been historically, you may well find that a cash-based product could be good for you.
Yeah. Okay. So I think one of the things that might put people off using an FPC, so I'm just conjecturing this, and maybe asking a question that someone might be thinking is, how much do I need to be able to engage with someone like you? I mean, I sort of get the impression that I need to be already rich to use a financial planning consultant. Is that true?
No, not at all. Not at all. So, for example, if someone comes to me with £100,000 in a pension and they say, Michaela, I want you to put together a bespoke retirement plan for you, and I want you to invest the money according to my risk profile and my objectives, and when I want to retire, and I want you to produce a lifetime cash flow planning thing for me, I can do all that. I can do all that. And the cost of that is 2% of the fund.
Right.
So that would be £2,000 in that instance.
What, a one-off or as a regular fee?
So no, that's a one-off fee for the initial advice, and if they want ongoing advice, where we meet up once a year, and I can issue a new report saying change this and keep that and adjust this, put a little bit more in here, put a little bit less in there, then that cost is 0.5% a year. So on £100,000, that would be £500 a year, and that's all deducted automatically from your pension and tax-free.
So if I
For
don't have
if you came to me
100K,
with
if I'm poor,
Yeah, so if you came to me with nothing, right, and you wanted to look to put together some kind of savings plan, particularly for pensions, then what I'll do is I'll take a proportion of your pension contributions for the first year. Um, it depends on what contribution you're making, and the maths can get a little bit complicated, but we'll always be completely upfront. It'll never be unreasonable. The cost will never be unreasonable, and we'll always be upfront with exactly how much the advice is going to cost before we give you any advice.
okay. So that all makes sense. That's good. What about companies? Because of course, companies have to have pensions these days, don't we? We either get stuffed with this nest terrible pension that the government has produced and no one knows where the money goes, or we can help pay into employees' own personal pensions. So is that something you can help with?
Yeah, absolutely. We can help small companies set up a scheme for their employees. If the company is ethically minded, we can even set up, some kind of default fund which meets the criteria, the legal criteria that we need, and it's as ethical as possible.
Hmm. Yes, I suppose that's a word, as possible, which is a challenge, isn't it? Because I think because things really change very quickly and financial investments don't, I suppose.
They do, and we'll be able to work with companies over the long term to make sure that their employees are continually getting the best advice, and that they're setting up pensions for their employees that work for them and for their employees. But there are also pretty stringent rules in place about auto enrollment, and that's the law that says that the companies are going to set up employee pensions. So, for example, there are limits on cost, and there are rules about what the default fund is that you can go into. So we can work with employers on that and try and get the best solution for them.
Okay, so that's great. And there's tons of us in the charity world, unlike the corporate world, sometimes in the charity world, where we'll get a massive credit, not necessarily massive, but a credit balance because a funder has paid us and we've got to eke that money out over a period of time. Are there sort of investments for charities like that? Like, in the old
Absolutely,
world,
there
we
are.
used to do
Yeah.
treasury things, but what sort of options are available for charities for that sort of stuff?
So This is my absolute speciality, is things like charity-based investment. Um, so yes, there are investments that charities can use. I mean, charities can use pretty much any investment that individuals and trusts can use.
Mm,
But the key thing to remember is how it's taxed, and is it going to be tax efficient for the charity? So, for example, there's a product called an investment bond. Investment bonds and charities don't go very well together.
mm.
So we wouldn't tend to use investment bonds to hold charity-based investments. But we can set up, a general investment account, and as long as any income and growth is used for charitable purposes, then all of that income and growth is going to be tax-free.
And obviously you charge fees to manage that account to make sure it's
Yeah, of course.
performing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
so it's the same fee as for an individual's pension. It's 2%
Yeah.
of the fund, and then I've got a cap of £10,000.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. I'm trying to think of all the other things. I'm trying to catch you out, all the other things that could be possible, but you've already got all these things covered. So I love all those sorts of things. Is there any other element of your work that we haven't talked about today?
Nothing in the kind of financial advisor world. I mean, my business is dead simple. It's we help individuals, small companies, charities, whoever needs investment and pension planning advice, we can do that advice for you. And everything's bespoke, everything is made, we say in-house with love from scratch. So we don't
Hmm.
use templates, we're not off the shelf. We'll work with you and we'll create something that's just for you.
Okay. Brilliant. Well, so to remind everybody that needs to get in touch with you, how will they do that?
You can visit my website, which is www.roseumfinancialplanning.co.uk,
How are you
and
spelling Roseum?
Roseum.
Ah, right. Okay. Okay.
So you'll be able to get in touch with us via our website, and you'll be able to speak to me. We're a small company. It's just me. Roseum is my brand, but we are backed up by one of the largest financial planning firms in the country.
Yeah. I think one of the things I had is I had a bad experience with pensions many years ago. So it is important to have someone that you can trust and talk to and actually dig under the hood of the advice, isn't it? So they understand the logic and the reason of why you're giving that advice. Because a lot of APCs just go, well, it's this, trust me or not
I
thing.
always work with a bespoke and with someone who's bespoke and someone that's going to really drill down and and deliver something that's just for you. I think that's the key thing here. It takes me, this might be something to ask your financial planning consultant, but
Hmm.
it takes me 40 to 60 hours on one case.
Oh,
So if someone comes with £100,000 and I'm charging them £2,000 for advice, I've spent a week at
yeah,
least on that case. And yeah, it's going to be spread out a day here, a day there, but it's going to take me 40 to 60 hours to complete that case and give that initial piece of advice. So when you bear down with that, 2 grand, I think is incredibly reasonable.
yeah, it
Um,
really is. And you're supporting someone in our community, and that's really
yeah,
important as well. So why wouldn't you?
yeah. But ask your financial planning consultants how long they anticipate to spend on your case,
Yeah,
because some of them are a lot quicker.
yeah.
And
You mean
they
less
might
thorough?
they might still be doing a really, really great job. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've been told that I spend an awful lot longer than a lot of financial advisors on my cases. And it's because I'm incredibly thorough. And
Yeah.
again, I don't use templates and I'm completely bespoke. So yeah, I would make sure that you're getting good value for your
Yeah.
money when you're paying a financial planning consultant. And if you want to shop around, if you want to speak to me, then you can.
Brilliant. And we'll put links into the show notes. Thanks for spending time with us today. It's been really useful. And it's great to support someone in the community. And it's great to have someone who's clearly knowledgeable and, this sort of personalized service that's backed up by a giant organization. So you get that twin approach of flexibility, supporting someone, but also a degree of, really good security. So thanks for spending time
Yeah.
with us today.
Thanks so much, Gillian. I'll see you again soon, all right?
You take care.